Alright, 1 week has passed with the Falsetto Fantasy and the new update. So I'm gonna go over through the epics or rares that you want to level up the divinate system. Just real quick, to tier up your epics or rares, they don't use anything. You just need the divinate to tier them up. You don't even need gold to tier them up. But the reason why you want to selectively choose who you want to give the level up to is because of the stats, right? The stats is massive, and it costs a lot as well. And you don't get a lot of this monoprisms, or what's this thing called? Yeah, sound matrix stones. You don't get a lot of this to level up epics or rares. It's the same. Yeah, let me just show you real quick. To level up Sander to level 30 divinate system, it's going to cost you 93,000, and for rares it's going to be the same. Rares is also going to take you 93,000. I'm not too sure about legendaries, so yeah, epics and rares, they cost 93,000, which is way too much considering the fact that this stuff is very rare. So let's go through how you can get them. And yeah, it's not a lot. You can get them from Falsetto Fantasy by getting 7.5 million score on all of the boss. So you can get 18 in total, 18 attempts in total, which can net you 36 of this sound matrix stone, which is about what's that, 36, about 18,000. Yeah, that's only about 18,000 exp per week. That is nothing, bro. To level up a unit from D0 to D3, from level 0 divinate to level 30 divinate, it costs you 93. Level 0 to level 10, I think it costs like 21,000 if I'm not mistaken. So you only get like 36 per week, which is kind of trash, and that's only if you get like EX++ ranking, right? So yeah, there we go, I got 2 right there. I forgot one more method that you can get them. You can actually buy them for 10 a day, and this one gives you 2500 EXP. So in order to max out a character using this method, you would need around 3,200 or 3,800 Nexus crystals, because in order to max out one character you need 93,000, right? And each of this gives you 2500 EXP, which is kind of expensive. 3.7k or 3.8k is a lot. And the last slot, the last spot that you can get it is through the Divine Sequencer shop, which if you do your pulls, then you can get this exchange, which is not a lot as well. Right now I can get, let's see here, I can get about 131 of the 500 XP, which is like what, 65,000 EXP. That's not even D3, that's not even level 30 of one unit. That's so trash. This thing is so limited, and yeah, that's the reason why you want to pick and choose which one you want to level up. First off, if you're using any of these legendary units in PvP, then I would advise to go for them first. Level up their divinates first before going into epics or rares, because the level up is mostly useful for leaderboard content in PvE or in PvP, because those do not have threshold. You want as much stats as possible so you can score better, or you can go up against better, stronger enemies in PvP, right? So that's the preface here. Go for units that you use in PvE leaderboards or in PvP for legendary characters, any of them. Alright, so let's go into the the epics or rares. So for epic espers, you generally do not want to go for like ritual miracle espers or stuff that does not care what kind of stats that you have. Like for example, right, if your steward is already one-shotting APEP and you don't need his divinate system to go past level like 10 or something like that, then you shouldn't give it to him because it's wasteful. You're already one-shotting APEP. There's no reason for you to give him the stats because you want him to do more damage in APEP. If he's already one-shotting, you don't need it. It's very wasteful. So I'm going to suggest units that are good for leaderboard contents that requires you to have a lot of stats. So contents like Falsetto Fantasy or Desolate Lands, or maybe even in PvP if the epics are good enough. Alright, so the first unit I'm gonna go through first is the Red Twin. The twins are just way too goddamn good because they are pretty much used for all 3 Falsetto Fantasy bosses because of the amount of utility they provide. The defense break, the pretty much permanent defense break, and damage that they provide, crit rate up, permanent crit rate up, speed down, sear, and then the green twin gives you speed up, permanent speed up, stuns, the pursuit mechanic as well, right? So they don't eat up a lot of turns, but they do a significant amount of damage while providing you like essential debuffs. So my first advice is to level up your red twin to 30 because this guy does gain 540 attack stats, which is a lot, and he is going to be one of your main DPS for Falsetto Fantasy as well. And you can also give it to the green twin because he does get like significant amount of attack as well, 540, which is a lot. So yeah, those are my 2 first priorities if you want to go for like leveling up the Divinate system. I'm gonna show you real quick my Falsetto teams, and I'm pretty sure they're in all of my Falsetto teams. Yeah, that's my Falsetto teams right there. In Sonica, there they are in Team 2, and then in Forbiter, there they are in Team 1. Actually no, this is my Forbiter. Yeah, there they are in Team 1, and then the Dark Starlord, there they are in Team 2 as well. So they're in all 3 of the bosses, and if you give them the Divinate level up, they're gonna heavily benefit from it. And the next unit I'm gonna go through is Chloe. She is very good in Desolate Land in the Shadow Guild. She is also very useful in Falsetto Fantasy. I think I have her in 2 of my team. I'll show you real quick once again. The ones that I'm going to be recommending to you is the fighter characters because attack stats is just way superior than any other stat because your points or your ranking is based on the amount of damage that you do. If your supports survive better, it doesn't really matter because when your DPS dies, then your supports isn't going to do anything, right? So most of them, or pretty much all of them that I'm going to recommend to you is just fighter characters because of the attack stats. More attacks means more score, which means more rewards for you. She is useful for Falsetto if you don't have like abundance of DPS characters. I still use her for some of my teams. I think, yeah, Sonica, I do use her in my second team. And then Forbiter as well, I do use her in my team 1. And also DSL. I have 2 DSL teams. I'm still testing them out because Chloe has a buff block on her second skill. It makes her useful for Dark Starlord, which is why I do use her in my Dark Starlord team sometimes. So yeah, she's also used in all 3 of the Falsetto Fantasy. So if you want to give it to her, she's not a bad pick at all. And then the next unit, I think you're gonna be tight because their uses are kind of limited. No, maybe Li Guang is slightly higher. So I'm gonna go through Li Guang first. Li Guang does gain the 540 attack, and she is useful for Shadow Stream. In the Falsetto Fantasy, I think she's used for Sonica. I've seen some people use her for Sonica. There we go. But yeah, she's useful for Sonica right there. And also some teams also use Li Guang as well. I'm pretty sure like a few teams in the top 100 do use Li Guang. But in other of the Falsetto Fantasy, she's not used like as much. And then Xiao Yin is also pretty good. He is used in the Forbiter, and he could be used in Sonica as well, I think, because he does do like a bunch of hits. So 4 hits right here and 3 hits right here. So he could be useful in Sonica, but that's the only area that he's useful in, which is like Forbiter and maybe Sonica. Next is, I would say, Lu Yi. Lu Yi is pretty good. He's used in Sonica. He can also be used in Dark Starlord and even in Forbiter as well. So yeah, if you want to give it to him, he gets a lot of attack as well. Lu Yi is one of the candidate that you want to give it to if you have like a lot of spare EXP. Sander as well is also very good. He gets a lot of attack, and he is used for Falsetto Forbiter. You can also use him for pretty much like, no, you cannot use him for Sonica, maybe in Team 1, but if he is in the Team 1, he's not going to do damage, so you don't need this Divinate level up for him to work. But if you're running him in Dark Starlord, then this could also be useful. And he's also very good in Shadow Gale. But yeah, I think the rest is not really worth it to level up, because they're not really useful for like contents that do not have like threshold, and they're mostly used for Ritual Miracle, which, I mean, you can give it to Ritual Miracle only if you're breaking a breakpoint. Like for example, like giving it to Steward so that he can one-shot APAP, right? Maybe that could cut down your turns a little bit. So yeah, giving it to Steward that way could also be good. But yeah, that's about it. The rest of the epics or rares, I don't think they're worth it at all to give the EXP, because they already function as is, and giving them extra attack is not going to really boost your damage score by that much. Your first priority is going to be your legendary Espers that you use in PvP or in PvE rankings. Stuff like Hyde, you should definitely give it to him for the extra stats for PvP, and then Ggez as well for PvP. If you use let's see, Clara for PvP, you should give it to her as well. But yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, ciao.